Welcome back from our summer sabbatical to 21 this week, Montgomery County's hardest hitting political talk show. When we departed at the end of July, the threat of the Delta variant was being felt regionally. Since then, there's been a substantial increase in the number of COVID-19 transmissions, reaching a peak of 100 cases per 100,000 residents on September 3rd. It was about this time that Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich announced that the county should consider a vaccine passport program. Mr. Elrich was not specific on how such a program would be administered or whether the county council would even support such a program. Mike, since Mr. Elrich's proposal of a vaccine passport last week, the daily infection rate for COVID-19 has been gradually declining, and today the transmission rate is about where it was in mid-April. In addition, the overall hospitalization rate never exceeded 10%. So are we likely to see a vaccine passport program being implemented?
I don't think we are. The part that really intrigued me when I first heard the county executive raise this was as a regional issue, to try and work with the other jurisdictions to have a passport that would be used throughout the region so people could see it, since we have so much mobility in the region. And then I didn't hear any of those other leaders in the counties and jurisdictions around us say anything about that. It kind of, if a tree falls in the forest, anybody there to hear it, did it really make a noise? And this one didn't make any noise that I could tell. And so I think that in the absence of any response there, he picked that up and said we should do one here. I could make an argument or have somebody make an argument for looking at something regionally because of that mobility, but to do something in Montgomery County where we already have such a high vaccination rate and we really don't see a significant amount of transmission, not that what we've seen isn't alarming, but we have started to see that subside. I don't think you're going to see anything, and I don't see that there would be a whole lot of value in doing it.
Well, I must say that I heard a great deal of pushback from some restaurant owners that I'm friends with and I have as clients. They were furious about the suggestion because they felt that it would further decrease the number of people who'd be willing to go out, and people would retreat back into their houses again. So I did hear from the business community that there would be a pushback. There might be a pushback on that.
I don't know if people retreat back into their houses. I think they'll just go. They'll do things different. It's just one more step, right? One more barrier. And so I think those people who have gotten vaccinated, most people I know have managed to hang on to their cards and are happy to show you if they have it. And quite honestly, in Montgomery County, most places I've gone, people are pretty mindful of it and are wearing masks if they have concerns. But with such a high vaccination rate, I haven't seen it as a big issue. So I don't know that people retreat. I just think it becomes one more barrier to entry and people will find another way to go out and do things and they'll just take the precautions that they're already taking, which is why I just don't think it's worthwhile.
Again, I think we're we have this juxtaposition that our region, our Virginia, DC, other jurisdictions are not implementing it. And you're going to find yourself back in a position where people will go to Virginia, people will go to other jurisdictions. Yeah. I find it offensive personally, the idea of having a vaccine passport, but that's my personal belief. I want to go to Mark on this. As the Delta variant has begun to wane, there's a new strain, the variant, the mu or the mutant strain, which has been discovered. So are we at a point where we just have to learn to live with COVID-19, its progeny, its mutations, its variants, and we just have to deal with it?
Well, I sure hope we don't have to go through the entire Greek alphabet to Zeta, because we could be doing this for quite some time. Let me just say I agree with Mike completely about the regional piece, but I would say, I would kind of add to that, I was vaccinated long ago, 7 months ago. I have yet to have to show my card to anybody. I've gone, I've flown a couple of times and been elsewhere around the country. I think the honor system seems to work well. I recognize that there is a minority of people who haven't been vaccinated, but among the most at risk, at least in Montgomery County, the rate is very high. I'm really not quite sure what having those additional precautions of, having to check and verify really adds to that. We'll see. It's hard to predict just how long this is all going to last.
Well, let's be realistic here. 20% of our population hasn't been vaccinated. and they are resistant to being vaccinated. So, I mean, are we going to say to those people that they are the target? I mean, I have a real problem with the civil liberty aspect of having this passport being shown and being enforced by retailers. I just have a big
Well, you put your
disagreement with this. I was in.
Businesses don't want to be in the position of having to do that kind of screening.
Well, and I think that's the challenging thing, right? If I'm a retail operator, it's hard enough to run my organization and make that work in a meaningful way. And now I've got to figure out how to post people at the door to check this passport. And I just think it becomes just one more obstacle to them being successful. And that's the part I struggle with as a small business owner, that you're going to sit there and try and check everybody coming in. You just don't have the capacity to do it and run your business.
Well, I mean, I was shocked. I was away when Mr. Elrich made the proposal. I was actually in Michigan, the land of wretched Gretchen Whitmer, and there was no discussion or consideration even there that vaccine passports. So it was quite shocking when I learned of this upon my return to Montgomery County. So, but I guess if things get seriously bad again, I suppose these proposals will go back into effect. We didn't have time to talk about Dr. Gale's departure, but maybe we will in our next segment.